Hello. I hope your day is off to a good start, or you're probably towards the end of the day, depends on when you're going to be watching this. But so I thought we would get into talking a little bit about inventory for your business. So those of you that haven't done this, there's a sheet that goes with this. So you have to ask me for that sheet. This is your reading material. It's just like reading and questioning. It's about inventory and why inventory is important for a business. Okay, we do inventory for a few reasons. One way of doing inventory is to make sure, especially in a startup business, so you know what you need. All right, so you're gonna go through and think, what do I all need for that business? Now, you even have to think about the little things. Yes, office, like pens and pencils, those really don't have that much value on it. But for example, I know one of you has an insurance agency, so there's not going to be a whole lot, but you're going to need computers, you need desks, you need a sitting area, probably need a conference table to meet, however you want your business to be set up. Some of you have, like if I look at Eric is a rock. He's selling the rock piles that we see out in the fields. He's going to sell those rocks to the landscapers. Very good business. So his inventory would be different to get that started. Everyone, Haley is another one. She's gonna have to have growing material, trays, tables, all of that to start their business. And anyways, Brody, you just looked at me. But anyways, we're going to go into that type of inventory. Now, I do inventory here at the school. My inventory at the school is done at the end of the year, where I check to see if what I started with the beginning of the year matches, so that what I need to replace. Okay. We also do inventory for insurance purposes. If the school starts on fire and the shop burns down, there's a record of the inventory. So that's another purpose of doing an inventory. You're going to find out when you own a business, you do inventory at the end of whenever you have your year. Most fiscal years end like in June. They don't use a calendar year, they call a fiscal year. So for example, like a school, the fiscal year for a school is usually July 1st through June 30th. Some businesses are that way too. Because I remember my mom comes home from work, sometimes she's doing inventory for the business. It's not December she's doing inventory, it's June and July that she's doing inventory. So, calendar year isn't always how we do business. And you're going to find that out as we go through this. So, first thing that you have to do is read in here, answer the sheet. If you don't have this sheet, this is the reading. If you don't have the questions that go with the reading, come find me and I will get those for you. All right. So the second thing that you have to do is now you're going to have to start thinking about everything you need for your business. All right. I've started mine, so I'm going to give you an example. So you should have your presentation here. Just a minute. I got to go grab the mouse. All right. So we have your business. So one of these. So I have my presentation here. Granted, I'm doing Canva. You select whatever method you want to do your presentation in. Okay. You got to think of a name for your company. Okay. That is your cover slide. All right. Mine's Sweet Williams Tubs. Like I said before, taking old lick tubs, turning them into fancy planters. All right. Okay. So we've talked about this. In your should be your slides of the real estate or the property that you're going to buy. So I have 1, 2, 3, I have 4 slides, okay? So this one's the real estate. I'm buying a warehouse office space. This one tells you I have a space to meet with clients. Here I have plenty of workspace because I'm going to use that as a shop. And then here is, it's located in Moorhead. It's going to cost me this much money. It's about half an acre and it was built in 1953. Not all of this is important. Definitely price tag and size. Those of you that are buying a building, you need to put the square foot down. So like Samantha yesterday, her building is 4,000 square feet. So make sure I know that. All right, so now that comes this part. I have started my inventory. So this is just gonna be inventory, okay? So with your inventory, I want you to be specific. If you need a pickup, what size and brand are you getting? You're not just writing pickup down and then making up a price, all right? So I am going to buy a 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 crew cab. It's going to cost me $66,000. Found that one at the Chevy place in Devil's Lake. I also want a trailer, okay? So I found this 7x14 enclosed trailer, black, V-nose, blah, blah, blah. All right, it's gonna cost me $6,399. All right, I've been working on my tools. I'm gonna need a lot of tools. All right, so I got a DeWalt cordless, okay? I know I'm gonna need a table saw. I'm gonna need some chop saws. Granted, I'm the only one doing the business, so I'm gonna get 2 cordless drills just in case. Might get two chop saws, probably get 1 table saw. Then I'm gonna start getting into other types of tools that I have. Now, I'm not gonna put lumber down. Lumber's not in inventory. Okay, that's a consumable, all right? So don't put a lot of consumables down because they technically don't have the value you need. So, like Emily, she's gonna need stuff to make her, I think she's doing candles. You don't need to put the consumable part of that down. If you're doing candles, the only thing I should really see is the container that the candles are going in. So if it's a glass, whatever you're going to use, okay? You don't have to put the wick down. Beeswax, you don't have to put that down. So keep that in mind. But for example, a few other things I'm gonna have to get. I'm gonna have to get some office furniture. I'm gonna have to get a couple computers, all right, to do some work. So I'm thinking of everything you're going to need for that business. And you're going to list it here. If you have to go on 2 slides, go on 2 slides, okay? Doesn't need to be on 1 slide. So keep that in mind as you go through this. So I will continue to work on this with you. When you guys are working on it, I'll go ahead and work on it also so that you have that. If you have any questions, please ask. At some point, you need to share your presentation with me so that I can start checking off in the grade book. For example, I'm going to check off everything on there is for real estate, that you have it all. Then we'll get going once inventory is done. So once we get going, I'm going to teach you the lesson and then you're working at your speed. Now, as we go through this class, I am going to try to start inviting people in. For example, you know, Peyton, she's doing an insurance. I'm going to invite an insurance guy in. We can visit with the insurance guy of what's it like to start up an insurance company. Welder, I'll bring a welder in. Eric, yours is going to be kind of difficult just because your job is unique. Honeybee, we can bring those people in and so on and so forth to visit about kind of what you all really need. So we might find out stuff that, oh, we don't need. Maybe you have something down and you don't need it. So keep that in mind. Now keep in mind, you don't always have to go fancy. Remember, you're doing a startup business, so you don't always have to go brand new. So keep that in mind. So, you know, if you had to go to the bank and get a loan for this business, can you afford to pay back, make your loan payments. So keep that in mind. All right, so you're working on inventory. Make sure you get the questions done for inventory. If you don't have it, if you need that sheet, go ahead and contact me. Otherwise, we'll see you